Greetings, everybody. I'm back. Thank you for joining us again on our quasi podcast, radio, TV, all merged into one via our Face Economics TV YouTube channel. My name is Almina. I'm the concept author of the Face Economics book, and it's also obviously channel on our YouTube, and we also have our social media Facebook platform. I hope y'all are doing well. I'm a little under the weather, actually. I don't know, I guess with all these fluctuation in the weather, it's starting to take effect on me. But I just thought I'd go ahead and do another broadcast for today. Like I said, I hope everybody's doing well, whatever part of the world you're watching this footage. And let's kind of refresh our memories regarding our platform and why we're doing what we're doing today. Basically, Face Economics is the offshoot of my book, Face Economics Like It, and what that is basically using a social media platform to engage the world, to use that platform to advance economic development and social capacity building. So, it's a very ambitious goal and very ambitious project. And we started, or I at least started it, my campaign back in 2012, and travel in various parts of the world and have done interviews regarding our platform and engaged the public. So it's been a pretty interesting couple of years promoting our platform. It's never been done before. The evolution of mass communication worldwide has changed significantly, especially during the transition between the third and fourth industrial revolution. So what we're trying to do is basically focus ourselves in the opportunities ahead and look into ways for us to contribute to society, not just in our local communities, because obviously that's very important for us to be able to share it with our neighbors and within the community where we live in. But I think now that we have the access to not only just our community, but our neighboring state, countries, and to the world, I think it's important that we should start thinking in terms of inclusivity rather than exclusivity. That for the longest time, everybody around the world have been racing each other to the top, and really there's no point to that anymore. I think the evolution of the marketplace is becoming more inclusive, and all we really need to do is and even identify down the road and try to take a good look to the opportunities and the tools so that we can utilize for us to advance, not just ourselves, but everybody that would like to advance themselves. Not everybody obviously wants to do that. Some people are going to want to hold on to the past. There's a lot of people shackled to the past just because, of politics, but because of social, architecture and what the traditional media have been, basically force feeding to the rest of the population. It's really counterproductive when you're constantly talking about, things that have happened in the past where, majority of the people back then, especially, even 60, 70, 80 years ago, they didn't really have any, tools available to them in order for them to create a more inclusive society. Everybody's trying to, there's a saying, it's called dog eat dog. You eat the weakest person, or the weakest link, and there's really no point to that anymore. There's so many to be had. There's so much opportunities, new emerging technologies, industries, special infant industries now are improving in terms of their capacity and their purchasing power. There really isn't any more reason for people to, engage in a more predatory type of, you know, uh, business environment. But unfortunately, that's still being endorsed throughout the world. Somebody would lose somewhere if you don't win, or if you don't do certain things. It's very old-fashioned mentality, survival of the fittest kind of junk. People don't want to do that anymore. There's no point for that, because in all reality, if you can learn, and if people give you the opportunity to learn, and collaborate and have an engaging knowledge transfer, I think that's the most imperative, you know, condition for anyone to advance. If you open up the doors to everybody so that everyone can learn and advance, then I think we would be living in a much more inclusive society in the U.S. and all over the world. Unfortunately, there's been this old school of thought where, the piece of the pie is too small for just one person if they were to share it. And, that's really an old-fashioned mentality, and that was the kind of mentality that created all this animosity among people, especially among races, people groups, because for the longest time, that was being endorsed. Either you have more and somebody would have less, or if somebody had more than what you have, then obviously you would end up having, much less than what you would like to have. But, in today's world, because of technology and capacity building, utilizing technology, there's so much opportunities out there. All you have to do is open your eyes and think outside of the box, learn as much as you can and share, be actively engaged in your community and in the world, so that, people can learn from new, resources that are available out there. So basically, face economics is an opposition to the same old, stuck on stupid type of agenda that is being force-fed by not just here in the U.S., but in the media here in the U.S., but media in various parts of the world. There's still a lot of media outlets out there that are, for profits. So they have to endorse things that would attract eyeballs. Whereas in our channel, the Face Economics Media channel, we're not so interested in sharing information just to share it so that we can get attention. We want to share information that is going to be relevant, efficient, and it's going to do some service, some sort of service towards the humanity, towards the marketplace, and to the world. And this is why we created the face economics concept, because the moment I saw the face economics opportunity to use social media and all these new emerging technologies in the marketplace, something triggered my curiosity to utilize what's available, things that are emerging in terms of developing marketplace, emerging and frontier markets, as well as developed societies. So anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm just going to kind of discuss some of the things that I noticed on social media, because basically we're called face economics, the utilization of social media to advance in economic development. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about on our podcasts and our broadcasts are things that are emerging within the social media realm, things that are being posted on social media and people, kind of pay attention to off of, utilizing social media and obviously their smartphones or whatever platform they use in order for them to gain knowledge and get access to, the world. So, yes, this one topic that I just noticed, it was reported on MSNBC that saying that Mark Zuckerberg mentor on why Facebook refuses to curb disinformation It's about power. You know, it's just like, why do we even? There really isn't any reason anymore to hoard power. You know, wanting to have power it's like a, you know, the byproduct of wanting to abuse power, and you abuse power in order for you to gain power. And you know, this report on MSNBC is just kind of disheartening, because we thought that, you know, the evolution of the marketplace because of Facebook and social media is supposed to be, you know, the kind of platform that will endorse transparency and, you know, endorse, you know, peace and cooperation, and, you know, kind of decouple ourselves from, you know, the sins of the past, the evils of the past. But it's like now we're revisiting everything that we are trying to leave as a society here in America. It's, you know, it's counterproductive when you're constantly having to, you know, claw back the past and then say, oh, well, you remember this? This is what happened. This is what we're entitled to. This is what, you know, we should be talking about. The more you do that, the less efficient your marketplace is going to be. You know, innovative stuff will just kind of die out because they don't get enough attention. Things that you want to formulate and be able to actively engage the marketplace in terms of ideas and new concept, they're all being they're drained out, you know, because they're not getting the attention that they need. You know, it's just kind of counterproductive. So, and you know, it just really, you don't want to have a marketplace in a society where you're constantly bringing up issues that aren't really, you know, it's no longer an issue. It becomes an issue when you keep bringing it up, you know, because you keep putting it in front of people. And yeah, I get it, you know, people and these companies need to generate revenue, they need to, you know, generate profit, you know, they make money off of advertisers. I get it, you know, that's a business, it's an industry. The news industry will do that in order to get attention and eyeballs, so that they can do, you know, so they can sell their ads on their broadcast. But you know, what is going to be the payback? I mean, what's going to be the actual result of that? Would you sacrifice the future? Would you sacrifice peace? Would you sacrifice, you know, collaboration and cooperation over profits? I mean, you know, that's really an old-fashioned way to think. You know, that's like that's how countries and, you know, societies and mankind ended up having to bang heads all the time. There's always conflict, because every time you try to, you know, promote an agenda that isn't inclusive, and an agenda that constantly trigger, you know, bad memories and experiences, that will stick, and it's never going to go away. And again, what I was saying earlier, our platform, the social media platform, is supposed to be the optimum platform, the optimum environment to kind of rid, you know, the various societies, not just here in the U.S., but societies throughout the world, rid these societies with past failures and past evils and past sins. Because every society have done a lot of stupid crap. They've abused people, they enslave people, you know. Every society on this planet have done wrong by the other, you know, minority groups, or the less, you know, the outnumbered populations. Every society has done that. What we need to do today is to promote not going back to it, and that's why social media should be used to be able to engage the population, so not to want to go back to the past, you know, not want to do over what we did in the past, you know. because let's face it, they didn't have social media back then. They didn't have a way for them to communicate throughout the world. There was no way for them to get instant education online. So they were operating off of what they read in books and manuals that were written before society really got the right knowledge, before it matured, before it actually went through, social challenges that took place. So these are the things that we need to use social media for today. I believe that if we continue to utilize social media to advance society and endorse new concepts and also increase the productivity of the marketplace, and when I say increase productivity, I'm not talking about working more or working harder, just like people in a cobalt mine or a coal mine. They're the hardest working people, but that's not what I meant, because most of them, would probably do something else. They don't want to have to work in that kind of environment and physically having to get involved with having to pick coal. So what we're going to do is kind of transition the marketplace to where, people would utilize technology so that they can, increase their potential and also diversify their investments so that, they can generate income while they sleep, and when, they're having some good time with their families and friends, they can still generate income to, our platform, the Face Economics platform, which is utilizing the social media environment to increase your potential both economically and socially. So yeah, let's see what else is on the news. Oh, okay, so they're saying now on Daily Mail from UK that Australia entered the worst depression or recession, worst recession ever. Okay, well, that's not good. So hopefully things improve there, because Australia is pretty much country in between of two superpowers, the West and the East, and they're kind of stuck in between two superpowers, and they got to figure out a way to increase their potential. Oh yeah, people were asking about my next book. It's called In Social Media We Trust. And basically, what that is our team developed the book as if it chronicled this year. It chronicled all of the things that happened with the pandemic and how it started and what was done differently under the sun. Everything pretty much were altered. Like everything that people would normally do kind of transition into a more remote location or online type of business engagement. And that we've written about this in Barbecue Markets and also in the Survival Guide in the Fourth Industrial Revolution. But I think everything that I had written about materialized and became reality today. And well, this year actually, it became reality in the year 2020. And the funny thing is, for the longest time, markets and societies have been doing distance learning, business engagements and all that stuff, but they kind of backed away from it, before the pandemic. A lot of this distance remote work and social, well, not really social distancing, but remote working at home kind of dwindled out just a few years ago, because people don't want to, have their employees work from home. And so they took away their tools and resources in order to be able to work from home instead of building up on it. And then when the pandemic happened, bam, they had to redo everything all over again, instead of just, having the access and the utility to be able to work from home. So, we can't be, moving forward one step and taking a back 3 step backwards, you know, as a society, as a marketplace, as professionals, because the more we do things that way, the more stagnant we're going to become. You know, so basically the book is going to be chronicling all the things that happen different under the sun. And some people might, you know, find it funny or equally thought-provoking. Some people might see it kind of, you know, as an assessment of what the evolution of the marketplace will eventually become. So yeah, obviously there's this political season today, and we've actually got 2 more months before the general election. So there's quite a bit of politics going on, and I'm kind of hesitant to want to talk about politics, just because, you know, when you have politicians that were born during the Great Depression or before, you know, there was email available and all of these advances that happened throughout the years, and they're still holding on to what it was like to grow up in those environments. Well, the social media environment today and the 4th Industrial Revolution never existed ever before in humanity. Nobody have been exposed to that kind of, you know, activities and concepts and all sorts of diversifications of talents. So that's just the reality of things. But then when you have politicians that constantly go back to their own experiences as if they've experienced what it was like to have Facebook, you know, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, all these stuff, they never experienced growing up in a world where, you know, interconnectivity was available, where people are able to simultaneously learn from various countries, you know, do banking online, you know. So think carefully when you guys vote, you know, listen to what the people are saying, these politicians, special career politicians. Career politicians are notorious to say what's, you know, sexy, what's hip, what's familiar, and what would get them votes, basically. But if you really quiz them and ask them how would those things, you know, kind of play out, most of them can't tell you. You know, they have staff that operates on their behalf and, you know, debrief them. I've debriefed politicians myself. Well, all these things happen so that these career politicians can get votes. That's the whole reason why, you know, a lot of them are prepped. You never see career politicians going on in front of a camera, like, you know, with raw footage. Everything's edited, everything's prepped, everything's scripted, because a lot of that stuff that they spit out, that they talk about, they really don't know much about any of it. So anyway, okay, let's see what else is available here. But yeah, let's see. Oh, okay. 8-year-old Jack lost in music. That's funny. That it's a little drummer kid using a drumstick, playing on the table, just tapping on the table away, and he's just lost in his little playland. Oh yeah, here's one. Facebook took down Trump's post because it violated Facebook's standard. Never happened in U.S. history where a company has the ability to take down a sitting president's message to the public, to the American people, to the world community. Never ever in U.S. history that a company has had that kind of power and authority over the Oval Office. Imagine that. We definitely live in a very different world today, folks. You know, I actually saw this post on my own Facebook feed, and I started looking into it and researching it. If it's ever happened ever in history, in U.S. history, ever since the inception of the country. Not one company in U.S. history, especially a company that promotes mass communication. In the past, these mass communication company actually knocks on the White House door in order for them to get a quick one sentence, one line from the president's office in order for them to publish it, so that they can get the revenue and attention. But today, Facebook has gotten so powerful that they can just remove a message put in by a sitting president. Imagine that, and imagine this going on around the world. All these democratic societies. When I was in college, the United Nations only recognized 168 or around that amount sovereign state, meaning countries that are recognized under the UN Charter. Now that's surpassed that. So imagine all these countries that are become democratized. So with that said, majority of the countries today have access to the Facebook. They are able to post whatever they want to post on their social media platform, even in their own language, in their own alphabet. So imagine the world that we live in today. So anyway, I think it's about that time. I think 30 minutes is pretty good with this podcast and broadcast, quasi-TV, radio, and YouTube broadcast. But please let me know if you all have any questions or if there's anything that you would like for us to talk about. My team is dispersed throughout the world in different locations. So we're still operational, it's just that we're just in different locations. So it might take us maybe a few days to respond to your answers, or questions, I'm sorry, to your questions and be able to answer them. So do not give up. Just let us know if there's anything that you would like for us to talk about on our next broadcast. And oh yeah, here's a quick one too. There's a broadcasting company out of the Virgin Islands that have requested material from us. So we're going to start producing content for that market, as well as other markets as well. But I just thought I'd mention that if you're located in the Virgin Islands, then please tune in on I believe it's TBN is the name of the network. So check them out and see our broadcast off of their platform. We're excited. I hope that everything that they had hoped and intended for our collaboration to take place would materialize. So we're excited. We're growing. We still, we have our activities in Africa, in Europe, and eventually we'll be heading out to Asia as well. Although we're starting to pick up, some viewers in the Asian market as well as the South American and like I said, the Caribbean. And we're hoping that maybe social media would be accepted also in the Middle East, and so that we can also promote some of our material within those societies and marketplace. Don't think of us as we're trying to colonize the world. We're basically just trying to, provoke thought, want people to kind of think outside the box. I mean, we don't want to challenge people's, norms, traditions, religion, or anything that is relevant to them and their culture is personal to them. All we want is to utilize the social media platform, especially the Face Economics platform, where people can, stop and say, oh, well, maybe we should consider something new, or maybe look into certain ideas and concepts and thoughts and measure it, and compare it with what the pre-existing conditions in those marketplaces. But with that said, my name is Almina. Thank you again for joining me. We're looking forward to catching up with you guys when we're able to travel again. Right now we're not able to get on a plane just because of the pandemic. But when we're able to travel again, I'm looking forward to seeing some of you in person. With this said, thank you so much. Have a good evening.